Elder abuse is a global social issue which affects the health and human rights of millions of older persons around the world, and an issue which deserves the attention of the international community. What is your definition of elder abuse?
Anything that's done to an elderly person which is either harmful or abusive. So it is, sometimes it's hidden and sometimes it's very obvious.
Elder abuse is defined as any knowing, intentional, or negligent act by a caregiver or any person which causes serious injury or harm or the threat of harm to a vulnerable person.
Elder abuse, I think, exists in all religions, all communities. It's not only in one South Asian. It may be different from some other communities in certain aspects, but it is a societal problem.
They do not want to abuse. They come into a situation where their actions become abuse without them knowing about it. That's in most cases. Not always, but in most cases. In some cases, it's deliberate. Elder abuse is single or repeated acts or lack of appropriate action occurring within a relationship where there is an expectation of trust which causes harm or distress to an older person. What are the societal and family pressures that affect elder abuse?
Well, ageism is a huge thing in our society. You know, where seniors are not valued. Really, if you look at social media and you look at media, youth is really embraced. Everybody should look beautiful and young.
Ageism has always been a problem only in the last 3 or 4 decades. Before that, the aged people had a powerhouse. They were like all the politicians. If you remember, they're all 80s and 70s. Is it changing now? Is age a negative factor?
People have become very self-centric, very selfish. They are not able to give time, quality time to their parents or elderly, those who are staying with them in their family.
The South Asian culture, or East Indian culture, we look upon our parents as, trees of wisdom. This is where joint families used to be a common thing, and still is a common thing in India, and even over here in many instances, that the parents live with the children and they provide care to the grandkids and what have you. But oftentimes their pressures of living or society are such that kids begin to take that for granted, or start an abusive relationship in the sense that you are required to do this and you are required to do that while I'm out at work.
Generally, we, as per our culture and tradition in Hinduism, we always think that Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, means so mother and father, we give the due respect. But in modern era, there could be a possibility of the elderly abuse because lack of the education and lack of the understanding between the family member.
In South Asian community, there is a word called IZZAT. IZZAT is translated as honor. Honor is translated as family honor. Honor is translated as clan honor or the community honor. If we do something bad, or if any of our children do something bad, they bring dishonor, or what we call bezati. From izzat to bezati, they bring bezati on the family and on the community. So we stay quiet. We don't want to wash dirty linen in the public.
they don't want that person, whether it be their son or their daughter or their nephew or whoever it is, to get in trouble for numerous reasons, because they love them, obviously, and because what happens then if this person now goes to jail? This person now will become, even if they don't get it, go to jail or get fined or anything, it's still, they're going to obviously be upset.
Most of the children bring their parents to get over their stress of what am I doing to my elderly parents, and they forget that these elderly parents have had good life, they have been in good jobs, and then they are brought over here and then, as Dr. Jain says, put into apartments, and then they get jobs in US, and then they go away and they are left all alone in the apartments. And it is sad to see that they are not aware of the whereabouts, and they just go from street to street looking for community agencies, because the children are across the border working and they are very busy, and they try to fend for themselves. That is abuse. So bringing the parents over is something which all South Asian families have to think about before bringing them over and breaking their extended family support system.
See, South Asian culture demands or expects the kids to be taken care of, especially those kids who have left their countries and have gone abroad. So if I or anybody from any South Asian country moved abroad with his wife and kids, and the parents are left in the South Asian country, wherever that is, they are expected socially to call their parents and give them a place in their home in Canada. Now, for socially back in their home countries, it's a good thing, and they come here with high expectations.
Now the parents rely on the children because they don't know anything. They can't even speak a word of English. So what do? They're stuck. The children have to walk them and tell them and take them whatever they need. They rely on the children. But then the children are, taking advantage of the parents.
They have their own homes there. They have their own neighborhood. The rest of the children are there. They are happy in their own homes. Here, like they don't feel that they are the boss. Now when they come here, now they have to listen to their children. Over there, they are just, it is their own home. They worked hard whole their life to have their property. They had the good jobs, good retirement pension and all that, so for sure.
They have moral support too.
Yes, moral support
their neighbors, their relatives,
yes.
They are like, it's a big moral support. Here we don't have those kind of.
But there are many seniors who are quite happy here, because at one telephone call, their ambulance is at their home, at their door, but it may not be there in their country.
Yeah,
children don't think it's abusive, but it's mentally it is abusive, because it's causing them a sort of a depression. They're lonely. There's no one there to talk to them. They feel like they're servants. They're serving their children. They're serving the grandchildren. But what are they getting in return?
It's not that they don't want to recognize, they unconsciously suppress it, because who are they talking about? Their own child, their own usually daughter or a son or a brother or a sister. Inside they know it's a criminal act, but by speaking out, they will lose even that kind of support.
Elder abuse is on the rise. The victim does not even know it's happening. Have you heard of instances of elder abuse in the South Asian community?
I heard one of my friends told me that some mother in Toronto, she was working late night at the assembly line work. They would leave the mother at the assembly work, and then they would go because she did the night shift. And then the guy who was the owner of the assembly line, he said there's not enough work for you to stay here, so you might as well go home. She felt very embarrassed or didn't want to bother the son. The other friend's daughter actually found her sleeping on the carpet in the lobby, and she asked her, why didn't you go home? And this is what she told her.
I have seen, maybe since I have worked for the South Asian community for a long time, I know so many even physical abuse. Only last week there was an incident where it happened that daughter-in-law beat up the mother-in-law.
A friend of mine, they had moved from India, they were new, and he was a tailor. He had his wife, but he was living with his kids. And they were grown up. Their kids were like 30s and above. And when he came, so he was a tailor, so he started sewing material for other people. So he was making money. So the children said that you have to give us the money that you're making because you're living with us, or else you're not allowed in our house. And he said, you know, it's my work, my money, I should keep it. So one day, the parents were kicked out of their house. The children let them go and say, you can't stay with us. Actually, one of the son beat up his mother. So they came to us and they were crying and they wanted our help. So this sort of abuse is getting very common nowadays.
We've had calls where we've had like the younger family say move in and just totally take over, and have the other, you know, the parents move into the basement, and the other family now take over the home, sign the car over, sign the house over, and the parents were living in deplorable conditions in the basement. They had no medications, they had cut off all services to their CCAC and different medical things that they needed, stopped taking them to doctor's appointments.
Financial abuse is the biggest in my field. I'm a psychiatrist. My God, I must have had so many patients who become so helpless, they want someone to manage them, and you know, they're cheated out of so much money over a period of 4 or 5 years, and then it comes to light because some third party looks at their bank and said, what happened to you? At 60,000, now it's only 4,000. Then they look at whoever was supposed to be managing their funds.
One of the old age homes where my students were placed for their routine extension activity, and I am the supervisor for them. And one afternoon I was little late in reaching to that place, and students were already inside working, and I found one elderly person waiting outside in the bench. I told Mosi, means auntie, why are you waiting out? Aren't you interested in the activity which my students are doing? So she said, no, I am interested, but I'll take some time. To my surprise, one gentleman came with a helmet on, and very quickly he took out a checkbook, and this old lady signed that checkbook, and this son of this old man gave a pack of biscuit and bananas. I asked this old lady that who was he? She said, my son, he loves me a lot, and even my daughter-in-law loves me a lot. I was so touched, I could not stop crying. This man is so very shrewd. He wants mother's signature in the checkbook, but he does not want mother in the house. And yet the large-heartedness of mother is she does not want me to know that son is so shrewd and so crooked, and I also didn't want to make her embarrassed, and I said, I know he loves you, that's why he brought snacks for you. Come on, Masi, let's go inside and you enjoy with us. I think this is very, very unfortunate, and I'm sure this is happening many places, and we just ignore it as if nothing is happening, and parents also do not open up, and they feel it will look bad on their part.
The risk factors for abuse include family stress and frustration, migration of young couples to urban centers, social isolation due to mental or physical frailties and erosion of cultural bonds between the generations. What are the long-term effects of elder abuse on a community?
In the long term, it is the mental issue, mental depression, which may lead to suicidal tendencies.
I have spoken to a mental health professional and also a psychiatrist. They say the South Asians have not been coming to us in any great number, but the research that I was doing only a few months ago, it has been done in Britain, for example, and they say some of these things that I have read would give us the impression that there is a lot of suicidal tendencies in South Asian communities. There's a lot of depression, there's a lot of non-talk or just staying away and complaining about the other community rather than their own community. It is happening.
When children see some sort of abuse going on, especially if their parents are abusing their own parents, knowingly or unknowingly, they get depressed. They see there's something wrong. Children have a sense of understanding what's wrong or right. If their grandparents are unhappy, they know that their grandparents are sad, that they're depressed, because they're not talking to them in a way, in a jovial way or in a happy way that they're used to or they're accustomed to as grandparents. If they see their parents bullying their own parents or being abusive, that could translate into these kids becoming bullies in their class.
Their kids, like the grandkids, will feel, oh, it's an acceptable behavior, they can do it, and that will happen. I believe in the saying, what goes around comes around. Then it will, the caregivers will be facing the same problem when it will happen to them.
This has to be controlled by people, by government, by us, by seniors, so that this cannot carry on in life. They get whatever they get, the pensions and all, so that can be settled some way or the other. And the abuse should be stopped, because they don't have much strength to take this anymore. That should be an end to this abuse.
The effects of abuse and neglect can carry from generation to generation. It affects individuals, families, communities, and ultimately society at large. What are the various factors that could be considered in a prevention model?
Meaningful measures to curb elderly abuse is holding conferences, seminars, workshops on important topics like aging challenges and issues. When we conduct such seminar and conferences, people from research scholars, students, and people from NGOs or people from government can also come and participate.
An educational model where the seniors should be not isolated. They should have enough connection to the society in the form of a senior citizens club. If they go, they'll hear from others that there are some options when you are helpless. There are agencies like community care access centers. You can be receiving help. You don't need to have a friend or a family member to care for you.
I think the biggest thing is seniors knowing what their rights are. That, you know, it's their life, they still have a choice to make. They can choose how to spend their money, they can choose where they want to live, how to run their lives. Very often when children come back into the picture, they think that they just have to hand everything over to them, and they really don't have to. They still have their rights, they can retain their rights even if their adult children come back into their life.
If there is a chance for the seniors who have been brought from outside, from India or from Pakistan or other South Asian countries, if there is a chance for them to work, maybe minimum wage or anything that could mentally help them and also bring up their self-esteem.
As far as the seminars concerned, as we mentioned that it can be done separate for the children or separate for the seniors, but I will say no. Because it is better to put everybody together and choose a common topic so that like that in that topic, you know, automatically seniors get their message and the children get their message.
June 15th is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, a day to bring attention to the abuse and neglect that some older adults experience and how abuse can be prevented.
If we stay silent, we don't talk about it, it will continue to grow like a moss growing on a stone, and nobody will ever know. So one small thing can lead to a bigger thing, and a bigger thing to a bigger thing. So we need to, what we call as nip in the bud.
I don't know if I've ever told you that, but when my mom came here for the first time, she didn't know how to use the microwave, and I made her feel bad. Oh mom, you don't even know how to use the microwave, and this works like this and that works like that. So I think we should even try to make them feel comfortable at our homes, that it's okay, you know, to learn new stuff. Even when I came first, even I didn't know so many things that I learned after. But when it comes to our parents, we try to put them down, and I think I did that. I shouldn't be doing that to my parents. I don't do it now, but when initially I came, I felt like, oh, she should know this already, and she didn't.